Greetings and salutations from Broad Ripple, 6320 Ferguson Street. I always think it's Ferguson Avenue, Derek. It's Ferguson Street, correct? Look at that right there. The deep dish pie coming out from Lou Malnati's, which is the location where we are. This is just one of several locations throughout central Indiana of Lou Malnati's. But when you're talking Colts getting ready for Thursday night football, prime time, what better way to get ready for it than fabulous pizza, huge tomatoes that we're going to throw at Derek over the course of this show.
No throwing.
And probably a cold beer, too.
No throwing
They got a
today.
fabulous bar in here, by the way.
Yes, we have to be as professional as possible. You and I had a great buddy lunch friend date here.
Well, it was better for
Just
you
a
than
little
me.
long, not too long ago, but right here in Midtown, our favorite location, the only dine-in location for Lou Malnati's out of their 4 Indy area locations, and we're super excited to be here. I know
it's awesome to be
It's
here.
hard to be excited about the current state of Colts football, Jake, but excited nonetheless to be here at Lou Malnati's.
It is super cool to be here, and look, it is a perfect evening. Have you ever been to Denver?
I have never been to Denver in my life. Isn't
Man.
that sad?
Denver, this is a perfect Denver evening because there's no humidity. The sun is in Denver. It's sunny like 355 days a year. This guy sitting over here is looking at me like, heck yeah, brother. I know Denver, right? Denver is absolutely beautiful, and that's what it looks like out here. And then the beauty of Lou Malnati's, Derek, you got the parking on one side. Then out here, you've got the Connect Four. You've got the cornhole for kids, like a little playground area. The outdoor seating. It is a perfect night to come out, enjoy a pizza, a cold beer, a Coke, whatever it might be, and get ready for the game tonight.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I saw that the cold front was coming in, so I was like, oh, God. Like
Cold
earlier
front.
this week, I checked the weather because I'm old now. So I checked the weather, and I saw the cold front was coming in. I was like, I hope that doesn't affect our patio weather at Lou's. And it's not going to affect our patio weather at Lou's, so thank God for that. Because tomorrow night right now it's going to be like 40 degrees.
The cold front is moving in?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by that?
I'm
Like the polar vortex?
I'm like an expert on, like, dad old people stuff now, so the weather and
about birds?
the NASDAQ
How
averages.
about birds? Are
and
you a
all
are
that
you a
stuff.
bird
No,
watcher now?
I'm not a bird watcher. I
Well,
will
that's-
never be a bird watcher.
Why?
That's one thing I'll never get into.
I don't know about that. I'll bet you will, because that's the next step.
Instead, I'm looking for horses tonight. Colts and Broncos on Thursday Night Football.
I wondered about this, Derek. I mentioned this earlier. A colt is a young horse, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think up to 3 years old, it's a colt, right? And then it becomes like a filly for females. Is that right? I think that's right.
No, I think
A filly female
Correct.
until
I think
until
that's right.
she's 3.
I think that's right.
And a colt until
and then at
he's
3
3.
they run the Derby.
Yeah.
And then at 5 they're glue, right?
No, that's a really, they don't do that really anymore with stuff like that. Yeah.
They don't do
it's
what
not,
anymore?
It's not very humane to do that. That's like 19th century stuff. They don't do that to the horses anymore. They sire them, so then they kind of they live out their lives siring
By 7 they're
their
Taco Bell,
progeny.
right?
That's what these horses do.
But here's my question: can a colt also be a Bronco?
I saw a bumper
is a Bronco
sticker.
specifically an adult?
I can only go on the bumper sticker that I saw once in Beech Grove that said, every colt grows up to be a Bronco, number 18. So
Okay.
I'm going to take that bumper sticker seriously.
But what
pretend
I'm
that's
saying
it
is,
was.
I think a Bronco is, by definition, look how. Do you see how fat I'm getting on this camera?
Just relax, okay?
Seriously,
we'll take
like-
that off. Vince will edit that in the truck, and we'll make sure that none of the turkey gobble
I mean,
over
I
here
am like my
gets out of
face
there.
is very full.
Nobody cares about that.
I
No,
do.
I do. I think let's clarify. I'll look this up and we'll clarify all this stuff. But let's talk about this game. 2 of the
Look up
worst
Bronco
offenses
definition.
in the entire league. The Colts come in
If you
dead
Google
last.
Bronco, do you get O.J. Simpson
Let's
before
talk
a
about this.
definition? What do you think? What are the odds?
We
I'll bet
don't
you
have a
20 bucks.
chance very often to be in front of a live audience, so let's try to contain ourselves and keep this going. Colts
Okay.
averaging 14.3 points per game. That's dead last in the NFL.
And Derek-
Broncos aren't that far behind. They're 30th. The only team in between them is the Bears. So these are 2 offenses that really have yet to get off the ground after 4 games.
Here's the other thing. Not only are the Colts averaging 14.3 points per game, which is the lowest in the NFL, but they're doing it against 4 teams that, if you take the Colts out of the equation, are giving up 25 points per game.
Yeah,
So
not
it's-
good defense.
So it's not like they've gone against the 85 Bears 4 times here, and that's
No.
why they're averaging 14.3 points per game. This is a brutal offense. I'm curious to see. You could say that Jonathan Taylor not being in the lineup tonight may open up the Colts offensively, except for that they haven't been reliant on him so far anyway. So that this doesn't come down to schematic necessarily. This comes down to an offensive line that we were told over and over and over by people far smarter than we that it was ready to go and everything was going to be fine. And they put a guy in the right side of the line that's never played at the guard position before in Danny Pinter. They put a guy on the left side of the line in Matt Pryor, who prior history says wasn't ready to play left tackle on a regular basis. And then they had a center in Ryan Kelly that, and listen, I don't know if this is the case at all. I have nothing to base this on. And if it is the case, I totally understand it, and it is a sensitive area that we should be sensitive of. But I think it's easy to overlook or forget about the fact that Ryan Kelly went through a very personal family tragedy at the end of last season, and I don't know, Derek, that he's necessarily been the same player since. And I totally understand, respect, and appreciate, if in fact appreciate is probably the wrong word, but I understand as a human being how, if that is part of why he has just not played well this year, total free pass, understandable. Now, it may just be that it's because he's playing center and snapping to like a third quarterback in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who
There's
knows?
no rapport there.
Correct.
Between center
like
and
the two of
quarterback.
us.
Yeah, no, we have actually a great chemistry and rapport. That's why we've been together for 10 years and why we're still doing stuff like this show.
It's okay.
Look, yes, it was a very real and very personal tragedy that Ryan Kelly went through. But again, these guys are professionals and they're expected to perform. I know that sounds cold-hearted, but everybody's got stuff going on. You still have to be better than what Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith, Quentin Nelson, Danny Pinter, Matt Pryor, this offensive line has been so far this year, because the Colts are reliant. It's like a deck of cards, really, and it's the base, right? The base of the house of cards. The base is the offensive line. Everything they want to do.
What was that TV show?
If they take
House of
that
Cards,
away,
wasn't that a show?
I think it was. Yeah, it was like Kevin Spacey before he started getting arrested and everything.
Did you watch it?
No,
okay.
I've never seen 1 second of that.
Okay.
You take away the base of the house of cards, and they all kind of topple over, and that's what's happened here to the Colts offense. Like, I'm not excusing Matt Ryan. I'm not even excusing the pass catchers. Not everything has been great offensively besides the offensive line, the run game. But it all starts there, Jake. Once the offensive line gets going, then you can start to kind of fix these other areas.
Look, the line has been porous at best. They have absolutely struggled. How about this, Derek? How about this?
We're going to talk about this.
This is unbelievable. What's that?
We're going to talk about this because this is new.
Yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's their new white pie here at Lou Malnati's.
So does that have give me the description of what he's...
Finish your thought on the offensive line first, and then we'll get to the rest of the white pie.
Well, the offensive line opposite of the white pie here, because the offensive line not good. This fabulous.
Yeah, this looks really good.
Holy cow.
And then you get it out of the fresh pan like that.
Uh-huh. Let's go, right?
It's going to be messy to eat on the air here, but this is going to be amazing.
It's warm. Oh, wow, this looks unbelievable.
And I had them here at Lou's in Broad Ripple. They're just going to cycle out the food every 20 minutes or so. So every segment, essentially, we're going to have new stuff to talk about. Look at Alan zooming into that pie right there.
This is unbelievable.
I like that you called it pie out of the open. You're starting to kind of learn from me.
I was using their terminology.
Which is an important
thing.
Told us. This is the only dine-in location, thank you, in central Indiana for Lou Malnati's. And you can get all of these pies in 4 different locations. West 86th Street across from Brebeuf High School, up in Carmel. Down on the south side in Greenwood, obviously here, also does carry out and delivery. But a new store opening soon, not yet, but by the end of 2022 in Avon. So they will, by the end of the year, have 5 locations of Lou Malnati's.
I want you to describe what we just did. This is unbelievable.
I have to get the notes because I have to make sure that this is exactly what this is. But this is the white pie that one of the Jennifers was telling me about. I'm going to have to get it in my email because my computer's
not I can tell you right now, it's got spinach on it, right?
It does have spinach on it. And some onion, and it's got the world-famous butter crust as well.
It is.
This is one of those, like, I'm somewhat of a pizza snob.
Is it sacrilegious to say, like, that you want to eat, like, with a fork?
I know. That's what I was going to say. I'm kind of an absolutist when it comes to no fork with pizza, but with this, it's perfectly fine to just dive in and grab a fork.
Derek, this game tonight between Denver and the Colts is interesting to me because it feels like these are two teams that are both in the same rut. The Broncos, coming into the season, they acquired Russell Wilson. There was a lot of expectation. If you've never been to Denver, the Broncos are literally in the city of Denver. The Denver Broncos are the Peyton Manning Colts, Bob Knight's era of Indiana basketball, Notre Dame football under Lou Holtz, and the Reggie Miller Pacers all tied into one in terms of the fan base, the interest, the fanaticism. It is Broncos, Broncos, Broncos all the time. And there was a lot of expectation from Bronco the Bronco fan base, the Denver fan base, about this upcoming season because of Russell Wilson. And the fact that I think that Denver thought that Russell Wilson, Derek, was a piece that he was a plug-in-and-play guy, that they just airdropped him in, and boom, they were going to be off and running and put themselves into the upper echelon of a very difficult division in the AFC West and a very difficult conference in the AFC itself. But what has happened is Russell Wilson, he hasn't been terrible, but it really hasn't gotten going just yet. And there was a lot of discussion outside of Denver about the Broncos that perhaps this was a roster that Russell Wilson, that Seattle was kind of built around what Russell Wilson could do, and Denver wasn't built that way. So there was a lot of question mark as to whether or not Russell Wilson's talents were such that they would just translate anywhere. And so far, it hasn't been a disaster in Denver, but it has not necessarily just taken off. So the Broncos are also trying to find their footing. The Colts clearly are trying to find their footing right now. And I feel like this game tonight, and I know that it's still early in the season, but it does feel to me like this game tonight, two franchises that are both coming to the same fork in the road and waiting to see which one is going to springboard themselves and which one's going to be kind of left behind a little bit.
I think the difference between the two is that at least the Broncos have been close. You know, they beat a good Niners team. They should have won Week 1.
Now, this is really hot, but
that's Seattle. I know we're gonna have to get.
Too warm?
We're gonna have to get setups for that. No, we'll get a fork.
Look at that!
To
It's
make
just
it happen.
melting.
That's the white pie. It comes out October 10th, by the way. So we're getting a special celebrity sneak preview.
Where are the
white
celebrities?
Pie, right here. That's why we get to try this right away. At least they've been close. Like the Colts have had 17-plus point deficits in 3 of their first 4 games. They've trailed in the second half of all 4. The Broncos' problems to me, Jake, and look, I know that we're in Indianapolis. We're not focusing and talking about the Broncos every single day. But from what I've gathered this week, remember our buddy Brandon Cristal out in Denver?
Sure.
He works for KOA. I had him on the podcast this week, and we kind of had a discussion both on and off the air about it. It feels like their problems are more fixable than the Colts' problems. Like a couple of things just need tweaking,
well,
whereas the Colts feel broken in a couple of areas.
True.
And beyond repair. Like, how good can this offensive line really get? How good can this offense really get? It seems that even if they fix up some things, even if they tweak some things, that's going to be very difficult to do.
Denver also has had some slight issues with health, right? I mean,
they've got big-time issues just going into tonight.
As do the Colts, right? So let's begin with that. For the Colts themselves, we mentioned it earlier. It is fabulous out here, by the way.
Yeah,
like,
it's a beautiful
this literally is like the most perfect night ever, right?
Gorgeous.
Is it not?
Yeah. You should come out here and join us here in Midtown. Lou Malnati's. I mean,
I'm already here.
We're all over the country and region right now, so not everybody can make it here on short notice. But if you are in central Indiana, you should come over here.
Listen, Lou Malnati's, there's parking right on, if you go right, so we're in the heart of Broadwell on Ferguson. 6320 Ferguson, as a matter of fact, but just on the west side, perfect. On the west side of the building is where the parking is, and there is parking here where you can park, walk over. Like I said, they also have a fabulous bar and interior eating. And, Derek, here we go. I'm going to dive into this.
I like the graphics there. Broncos country, let's ride, because that's exactly what's going on here. And we'll get into Russell Wilson and the rest of the guys that are actually going to be on the field. Who's not on the field tonight? No Shaquille Leonard for the Colts. You feel for him. Fights through the injuries that he had in camp and missed the first couple of games. He comes back. I'm going to try it.
Do you have the description of it?
One of us has to talk. So he's going to come back just in time to get a concussion last week and leave that game. And then on a short week, obviously, he can't pass the protocol. So no Shaquille Leonard tonight. We know about Jonathan Taylor with the foot injury. He's not going to play. Julian Blackmon with an ankle is not going to play. Tyquan Lewis also.
Everybody has an ankle, Derek.
He's not going to play. Ankle injury. For Denver, their running back, Javonte Williams, not to the level of Jonathan Taylor, but a guy expected to be their RB1 this year, is going to be out for the year. He completely shredded his knee.
You got to try this.
So he's gone for the year. Randy Gregory, remember that game? Name, Hamilton Southeastern?
Yeah, Dallas was really patient with him,
He's
right?
had a nice career. He played 5-6 seasons in Dallas. This is his first season in Denver. He has a less serious knee injury, but it was serious enough for him to be placed on IR this week, so he's not going to play. He's one of the Broncos' best pass rushers. They're also down. Denver is their starting free safety, one of their guard spots at tackle, and their tight end. So
you got to try this.
Denver really, really banged up going into this game. So if anything, I think the Colts Colts are without their 2 best players, right? No Leonard, no Taylor. I think most objective people would measure them 1 and 2 in whatever order that you want to put. But I think it's not really as much of the short straw here that they've drawn, because Denver is going to be kind of the walking wounded tonight for this Thursday night football game.
Derek, you got to try this.
The white pie.
It's unbelievable. Do you have the description of it yet?
I actually don't have. All I have is the release date, October 10th. But it looks like you've got the fresh moots, you've got spinach,
It's
onion,
it is truly amazing.
buttercrust. I have a really advanced palate, so I could probably pick up all the ingredients just by tasting it.
An advanced
Garlic,
palate.
yeah, a little garlic in there, which I love.
No,
I'm a
it's
big garlic
amazing.
guy.
The cheese, absolutely, it's like a party in your mouth.
I think there's regatta on here.
Regatta?
Yeah,
I don't know, but it's amazing.
really, really good.
Spinach is fabulous.
October 10th. You
All
can get
kinds
the
of
white
vitamin
pie
A in here, right?
at any of the Lou Malnati's locations here in Central Indiana.
Yeah, get it out of your beard.
I think I got it, didn't I? I like having the monitor right here, so then I can test if I get any
Derek,
news on my face.
Nyheim Hines is going to be a big story in this, right?
Well, it's going to have to be.
But I'm curious how they actually use him and how much they actually use him. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're going to have to use him more as a traditional runner than you probably would want to because you don't have Taylor. So he's going to be your guy in that case, I guess. But, utilizing him and getting him in space, I guess that's one of the most disappointing things about the Colts offense so far this year was that I thought by jettisoning Wentz and getting him out, not being accurate with the short stuff and wanting to throw underneath, I thought you would elevate the roles of Hines and Paris Campbell in this offense. And so far, they haven't really done that. Like, if you look at the guys that are producing for the Colts, they're getting it out of the tight end spot. Pittman in game 1 was a monster. I know he ended up missing game 2. Alec Pierce has strung together 2 nice games. Like, those are the guys that are putting in the numbers, not so much. Paris Campbell's been okay. What does he have, 9 catches, 90 yards, I think, for the year. Hines has been mostly forgotten, I feel like. I don't feel many times this season that I've even really noticed Hines in the offense, and obviously that's going to have to change at a big-time way tonight if the Colts are going to have to hang around in this game because they're going to have to at least keep Denver's defense honest, and if you're going to get this passing game on track, you need to get the running game on track as well. I mean, we're talking about the things that are broken about this team. The running game and the offensive line, it looks broken.
I can't stop with this. It's really
it's
good.
Hard.
Nyheim Hines, this is what, to me, Derek, and you're going to hear me say this a lot probably. What's interesting to me about Nyheim Hines is all we heard about coming into the year. Frank Reich said himself, if you're a fantasy owner, get Nyheim Hines. We're going to use a lot of Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines, Nyheim Hines. To your point, through 4 games, very little production out of Nyheim Hines. The second leading rusher on the team is Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay? I almost feel like one of 2 things was taking place here with the Colts, and I know this sounds crazy. Either A, they were anticipating and expecting a huge year from Jonathan Taylor, and thus were talking up Nyheim Hines almost as a smokescreen to keep defenses honest about Hines when he was on the field, even though they knew he was going to be a decoy player. I don't think that's the case. I think it's more this. I think what we're going to see tonight, or what I'm hoping that we see tonight out of the Colts, if you're a Colts fan, is that I made this analogy earlier. Do you, Derek, ever have like a pair of shoes or a hat or a jacket that you totally forgot about? And you're going through, the weather, all of a sudden fall arrives and you're going through your closet and you're like, I totally forgot about this jacket. And you wear it and you're like, yeah, I like this jacket.
I have hoodies that are like that.
And then you start wearing it more and more. You're like, I totally forgot about it. It's like found luxury.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's what Nyheim Hines is for the Colts, that they say to themselves, I totally forgot we had this weapon. And now all of a sudden we're using him, and look at the luxury we have, and now they're jump-starting him a little bit. The question I have about him is, can Nyheim Hines be effective when he is the weapon? And everyone knows he's the weapon. The thing about getting Nyheim Hines out in space that made him so dangerous for the Colts, theoretically, is when Jonathan Taylor's on the field, you've got to pay so much attention to Jonathan Taylor, then you get Hines out in space and everything opens up for you. Can you do that when he's on the field and everyone knows that he's the guy you're going to?
Yeah, probably not is the answer to that. But you're going to have to try and see what ends up happening with that. But, again, Jake, it just kind of – and we're going to take, like, the 100,000-foot view of where the Colts are right now. It just kind of keeps hitting this theme. Like, no one is arguing that the Colts have this, like, unbelievable stacked roster or anything like that. But the Colts have these pieces that – if you would maximize their talents, you'd feel like this offense would be pretty good. Like if you maximized Nyheim Hines' role, and I don't know, maybe Paris Campbell's just a guy at this point. We keep waiting for Paris Campbell to hit, but if you maximize all of the talent that you have, I think this offense could be certainly better than it's been. Maybe not a top-shelf NFL offense, but a top half NFL offense. Jake, go back and look at the 2020 team with Phillip Rivers. Like, look at their offensive players on that team. That was not a great collection of offensive talent at all. And that was a good offense. That was, I think they were the number 11 offense in the league.
There were times last year where their offense, you're like, pick your poison. Because you got Jonathan Taylor running amok. You got Michael Pittman became, developed.
Yeah, like in the middle of the season when they had things rolling.
Yeah, but I mean, in coming into this year, there was the expectation that their offense was going to be really good. I myself thought, but the one question mark for them was wide receiver. They refused to address it. They told us the wide receiver room was good enough and that they liked everybody in that room. Desmond Patton was released for a kicker. I mean, what does that tell you? And Derek, he cleared waivers.
But if you're making a
so
list,
they had a guy in the receiver room that no one in the league wanted.
But if you're making a list of what is the biggest reason why the Colts are where they are in 2022, receiver would be pretty low on the list.
I don't know about that.
Well, Jake, the offensive line is one, right? The running back and the running game would probably be two for the offense, and obviously that goes hand in hand with the offensive line. Pass catchers, to me, even though look, it's not a great wide receiver room, okay, I'm not going to pretend that it is, because I've had the same complaints that you've had, like, Campbell and Doolin and whatever. Like, those guys are nice to have as, like, third and fourth guys, not necessarily, like, front-line guys behind Pittman. But I think that ultimately tight end has actually been kind of a surprise, has been better than any of us thought. I think the pass catchers have the bargain.